All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. Got to start off with the good news. I just talked to Darrell down in Houston, longtime friend of the movement, and he said it's been a miserable few days because their power's been out. He says it's been out for about 48 hours, and it got down to 5 degrees down there, and they're just not used to those kind of things in Houston. But him and his lady, they got all the blankets in the house, and they've just been snuggled together for 2 days under the sheets. So I guess it could be worse. But again, you guys, what's going on right now, it's not Mother Nature. These are agendas. And if you follow my website, I posted a few weeks before Valentine's Day to look out for some nasty weather type event, some great reset type of event, because they've been forecasting this great reset, possible power outage. Well, we got the weather and the power outage. And going to show you why I wrote this a few weeks before it happened, why Valentine's Day looked like it could be the day. Before the year began, I thought maybe January 15th could be a day that this could happen, and then that day passed. Didn't really seem like anything that interesting happened on January 15th, so I was thinking, what could be the next date that's like January 15th, and I realized it was Valentine's Day. If you're new here, going to talk about things that you will just dismiss in an instant as lunacy and conspiracy theory, and that's because you don't know what you're talking about and you're new here. Again, you guys, the weather is controlled by a code, and the weather's been admitted to being controlled by the military since 1952. Well, to be more accurate, the Royal Air Force of the UK admitted that they were controlling the weather in 1952. The US admitted they were controlling the weather in Vietnam during the time of the Vietnamese War, and don't think for a minute that they were only doing that in Vietnam. Again, controlling the weather has been a military strategy since even before 1952 because it's a good way to destroy your enemies. And for anyone going, well, does that mean Russia or China's doing this? No, it does not. Because the people who control this nation, they don't see us as their allies. Maybe they see us as their enemies, but the people who control this nation and the military, it's not the politicians in suits. It's the bankers that own this country and who control its policies and live for what is known as disaster capitalism. Anytime they destroy something with weather, the government has to go and get a loan, which is profit for the bankers. So that's why they say all wars are bankers' wars, weather warfare is bankers' wars, and these bankers, like the World Economic Forum, they've been telling us we need to reduce population, we need to reduce carbon emissions. So, hey, getting rid of some people by making the weather extra cold in cities that are used to being 40, 50 degrees this time of year, dropping it all the way down to 5 degrees because they're channeling in the weather systems from, the northern states. That's what just happened to Houston. Houston just got the weather from Minnesota and North Dakota. They're not used to that down there. In Minnesota and North Dakota, it's not a big deal, but when they use all their sophisticated technology and all their crap that they do in the sky to shift the weather down, some 100 some miles down south, that's a big deal down there in Houston, Texas. They're not used to 5-degree weather. Most of these people have never seen this in their lifetime. Plus, their power got turned off. And the local energy providers are telling them that the power got turned off because of the cold weather. I'm surprised. I'm sure some places here and there, trees got ice on them and fell down and knocked down power lines. But come on, man. I mean, up here in the north, I'm from the northern states, we have cold weather, and power lines get knocked down, but then the cities put the power lines back up. I really think they're just messing with these people in a big way to pound home the message. Because again, you guys, you got to know a lot of things. You got to know all the things going on. If you just sit there on your phone and watch TV shows and movies and sports, you probably don't know much about anything. But if you study what's going on in the world and you're someone like myself or most of the people in this community, you know what's going on. You know about things like Agenda 21, which was given to us in the 90s. In the 90s, Agenda 21 was agreed to. And the purpose of Agenda 21 was that by the year 2021, so this is decades in advance, but by the year 2021, they'd have a lot less people, commuting, consuming. They wanted to drastically reduce these things. And so this year, you can see they're going to pound home the message that Mother Nature's out of whack, the environment's out of control, it's dangerous. And again, I'm all for taking care of the earth. I do think we disrespect it. I think we should consume less and, probably travel less and just do things that are less destructive. But realize The people who act like they care about the environment, the Agenda 21 types, it's not really about that for them. It's about controlling policy, just like what coronavirus is about. I'll bring all this together. Again, coronavirus, look at what's happened. Most people have been put out of work, and look at how wealthy the already wealthy have gotten. You've seen all the headlines all year about how many more billions of dollars they became worth. You know, every week there was a new headline. Oh, this billionaire set a new record. This billionaire set a new record. Meanwhile, everybody else, you know, waiting for the government to send them a $600 check so they can get by on a box of Ritz crackers. But, again, want to go back to the article that I wrote. Here, the date of this article, and again, we've been talking about these things, but after the January 15th passed and there wasn't anything big that day, I was like, okay, what's going to be the day where they really get this ball rolling for their great reset, the darkest winter? Again, all year they've been telling us about the darkest winter coming. What could that imply besides power outages? You know, Public Enemy put out the album, What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down by the Numbers. And we've been talking about this, you know, what would be the worst winter for a lot of people is the power going out, and especially when they got weather warfare on top of it, like what people in Houston are experiencing. But here's what I saw. Again, the man who's behind all this, again, if you guys are not familiar with the World Economic Forum, look that up. The World Economic Forum did something called Event 201 on October 18th, 2019. It was simulating a coronavirus pandemic that shuts down the world, and they did it the same day the Military World Games began in Wuhan, China, and then 1 month later there was an outbreak of coronavirus in Wuhan, China, just like Event 201 was a coronavirus outbreak simulation. So that's the World Economic Forum. And then it was June 3rd, 2020, in the middle of the pandemic year that they predicted in their simulation. On June 3rd, they called for the Great Reset. They said in 2021, we need to have the Great Reset. We need to really slow people down. We need to really change the economy because really bad things are coming from the environment in the near future. And then these same World Economic Forum types have been repeating this phrase, the darkest winter, the darkest winter, the darkest winter is coming. So the man who's behind the World Economic Forum is Klaus Schwab. He's the founder of it. And I noticed that from his March 30th, 82nd birthday to February 14th, Valentine's Day, I noticed that it was exactly 46 weeks. And that's a special number, you know. Like, for example, the city that got the worst of it is Houston, Texas, 46. And just days before this happened to Houston, one of the big stories down there was one of their local R&B singers was stabbed to death in broad daylight at age 46. There's just so many rituals with Houston, Texas, and 46. Now, I didn't predict that Houston, Texas was going to get the worst of the weather, but I made a big point about 46 in this post since this was coming 46 weeks after his birthday. Go over some of these things. But Valentine's Day is related to martyrdom, and martyrdom has that gematria of 46, as does Great Reset. It's 46 weeks after his 82nd birthday. Again, if you're new here, gematria, practice of coding numbers into words. From the beginning, I've taught two ciphers. The alphabetic order, A is 1 up to Z is 26, and the alphabetic order with the rules numerology. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, where it changes is J when you use numerology. That's because J is the 10th letter. The numerology of 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1, so J becomes 1. K, the 11th letter, 11 is 1 plus 1 is 2. L, the 12th letter, would be 1 plus 2 is 3. Up to Z, the 26th letter, would be 2 plus 6 is 8. You just make each letter a single-digit number. So like you see, R is 9. That's because R is the 18th letter. 1 plus 8 is 9. Very simple. And I learned this from Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages, his book. But this was 46 weeks after his 82nd birthday. Ordo ab chao is the Latin for order out of chaos, which is etched all over Masonic temples. It's a phrase that the Jesuits use who operate on behalf of the Roman Catholic Church, and Klaus Schwab is a Jesuit. And again, Society of Jesus 56, Climate Change 56, Paris, France 56, where the climate accords were agreed to, which is the home of the Jesuits, Coronavirus 56, another Jesuit agenda. And again, all these things being simulated by the World Economic Forum that's run by this powerful Jesuit. And realize the Jesuits consider themselves a military order because they have so much influence over the militaries of the world, all part of the Jesuit bragging rights. But this 46 was really standing out. 46 weeks after his birthday, Great Reset, Ordo ab chao, martyrdom. And of course, Valentine's is a Catholic holiday, like Klaus Schwab is a Catholic, but Catholic's 46. And then the other thing that was really jumping out is Valentine's Day. Notice the gematria, 151, 274, just like the Great Reset, right? 151, 274. And they declared this because they said it's emergency time for Mother Nature, and there's really bad weather on the horizon if we don't do something to curb global emissions. You know, this is what they're saying, right? So when you realize that the military's in control of the weather and these people are waging agendas and blaming boogeymen for the problems so that they can pave, the path that they want for humanity, like, for example, everyone needs to stay home and shut down their business, but you can still shop at our friends' stores like Walmart, etc., Amazon, they can still come deliver stuff. This is how it goes. They tell you what's wrong, and then they tell you how it's going to be, and all the meanwhile, it benefits them while hurting the rest of humanity. And realize what's happening. There's this power class that's growing that has all the power and all the wealth, while the rest of us are just made to, put on our face diaper and just follow instructions. But the phrase power outage has that gematria of 151 and 52, also like Valentine's Day. And that's what we've been talking about, the Great Reset, like flipping the switch, power outage, the darkest winter. They've been forecasting all these things. And you see how Valentine's Day and the Great Reset are both 74? So is the word energy. A lot of people's power went out. The energy got cut off. So, again, you guys, this stuff is not an accident. And beyond the 46 weeks, some of you might recognize the number 322, of course, the number of skull and bones, which is named after the Knights Templar, which is created in relation to the Bavarian Illuminati, which was created by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. Again, this is why all roads lead to Rome. The Jesuits, the Knights Templar, they all serve the Catholic Church. This big ritual on the Catholic holiday. Pope Francis just wrote his encyclical Fratelli Tutti about what to do about climate change and coronavirus. And remember, Fratelli Tutti equals 56, like climate change, like coronavirus, like Society of Jesus, like Pope. But this is why I wrote this, and I was really looking out for something on Valentine's Day. By the way, if you write it out as St. Valentine's Day, it's 2/14, like how we write the date in the U.S. I was wondering also if they might say, like, coronavirus is jumping up again, but right now they're actually saying it's coming down, but they're saying in the forecast they see that it could get worse, especially next year, because they predict that next year the flu will return. It's like, where'd the flu go? Since when isn't the flu here? The flu kills people every year by the hundreds of thousands, but now there's no flu deaths. They're just all coronavirus. Treating us like fools. But, again, this is why Houston got the worst of it. Houston in the U.S. got the worst of it because, again, Houston, Texas is 46. Great Reset's 46. 46 weeks after Klaus Schwab's birthday. And the word on the street is from Darrell that, the neighborhoods that have had the power out are the ones with darker complected people, which doesn't surprise me at all. And just like how they're really marketing the vaccine to darker complected people. Again, there's certain groups they target more than others for eradication. That's been going on for a long time, and I don't need to tell darker-skinned people all about it because they already know. But, look at Fox News' headline, Freezing to Death. Freezing to death. Freezing to death, 82, just like how he's 82 years old, 46 weeks after his birthday. And again, Valentine's Day's got the 74 like cold. One of the other states that got wasted on Valentine's Day is the state that has its birthday as Valentine's Day, Oregon. Oregon was covered in ice, and a lot of Oregon lost its power. And realize, it was all over the nation. All over the nation, people had bizarre weather. We got more snow than normal here, and it was definitely colder than normal here as well. Just they had the whole, it's because they can move weather systems. They can move Arctic air. And people should be waking up to this stuff. Do you guys remember when the Gulf oil spill happened? They reported at the same time that, what do they call that? The Gulf jet stream. They said it stopped. Why would the Gulf jet stream stop when they had that oil spill down there? You know, and remember how that was with the oil spill at the time? Bush and Cheney were the president and vice president, and the story came out even in the mainstream that Dick Cheney had just bought the world's largest oil cleanup company days before that oil spill, and that company got the contract to clean up the oil spill, a very profitable contract. So Dick Cheney, while he's sitting in his Oval Office, making all this money off the oil spill down in the Gulf, you know. I forgot to make a point, too, about this ritual. Again, notice how Valentine's Day has the 52. Remember, weather warfare was first admitted to in 52. Earth equals 52, flood 52, hurricane 52. And don't forget, the flooding of Harvey, August 27th, 17, a 52 date numerology, which was also the 239th day of the year, which is the 52nd prime. And then the first pitcher to pitch in Houston was Matt Harvey, Major League Baseball pitcher, after the flooding of Harvey, and he pitched exactly 52 days before the World Series began that Houston played in, and they beat the Dodgers. And again, Vice News wrote that article making fun of me because I said that storm was the work of the military, and it was synced up with the baseball season, and Houston would beat the Dodgers in the World Series all at the end of August, which was all right on. And then they did a million 52 rituals in the postseason with Houston. And Vice News wrote that article making fun. And then last year, on May 7th, 2020, I put out a video saying, circle all these 52 dates this year. Watch, there'll be hurricanes that make landfall on these dates. On all but one of them, in like 10 dates we put out, all but one, a hurricane made landfall. And the one day it didn't happen, a hurricane formed in the ocean that day. And again, it's just the same stuff every year. So Houston gets terrorized with the flooding of Harvey in a huge 52 ritual. Then on Valentine's Day, which has the 52 connection, they lose their power with drastic weather. Like I've explained in my first book, the first book that I wrote, years ago. There's a chapter on weather warfare by the numbers and how 52 is the most significant number of weather warfare. So Valentine's Day had that 52 connection. And again, Houston once again gets the worst of it. And also, let's not forget that Fox News put out the story right after the flooding of Harvey about the woman who lived on the hill and all of her neighbors were flooded, but her house wasn't. And they asked her, they said, how do you feel? Do you feel lucky? And her response was, I feel like I won the World Series. And I thought, come on, who would say that? I feel like I won the World Series. I said, there you go. Houston will win the World Series. Just watch. Next thing you know, Matt Harvey's the first pitcher pitching in Houston. They got everything so scripted out. They got the baseball schedules literally scripted out with their planned weather warfare. Same with the NFL schedule. I mean, they remember then there was more flooding. Houston was like playing Jacksonville that next NFL season, and Jacksonville got all that flooding, and then Houston and Jacksonville were playing each other. Remember, the Saints won the Super Bowl after Katrina, and by the way, Katrina's another 52, just like hurricane. But these people, they work by a very repetitive system, and that's how we're able to accurately predict the election, like how we called Biden all year. Dominated the playoffs. NFL just now 13-0. Our future from before the season hit. All the futures I put out for sports last year hit. All of them. All of them. Again, because everything is scripted by the same code, you guys. Same Jesuits control it all. Your government, your military, your media, your sports leagues, your weather. And I'd say it's undeniable, but people do deny it, and that's because they suffer from cognitive dissonance and because they're ignorant and because they think all this stuff that's real is not real because they live in fantasy land. Literally, they live in fantasy land. All they know about are TV shows, movies, and rigged sports games, and maybe some consumerism shit, like their favorite brand of clothes or, what kind of wheels they want to put on their car or what their favorite brand of salsa is. Most people don't have much knowledge beyond that. They do not. And just to go over a few more things before I open up the phone line to hear what you guys got to say about the weather in your community right now. Again, just millions without power after the Valentine's Day storms all across the nation. Alabama, Oregon, Oklahoma, Kansas, Kentucky, Mississippi, and Texas. So, I mean, the middle of the country really got it, and the South. And again, the South's not used to cold weather like this. And neither really is Oregon. Up here in the Pacific Northwest where I live, I mean, it's a temperate climate. So a lot more snow than normal came through here. And again, Oregon had the ice storm. And They referred to it as an ice storm in Oregon. Notice how ice storm and Valentine overlap. The exact same in 3 out of the 4 base ciphers. Again, the base ciphers, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. And as you can see, the only cipher where it's different, it's the same numbers, just reshuffled. And again, Oregon's 74 like Valentine's Day, which is probably why it's its birthday. Oregon was established February 14th, 1859. And they said 201,000 customers were without power in Oregon. 201,000? Really? 201, like Event 201, the Jesuit simulation of coronavirus. Remember, the Jesuit order equals 201. So, and again, just to remind you, it's the Jesuits. We're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope. Pope Francis put out that encyclical Fratelli Tutti about what to do about climate change and coronavirus. And just notice, all the 56, Society of Jesus, the official name of the Jesuits, Fratelli Tutti, coronavirus, toilet paper, mind control, Anthony Fauci, the Jesuit, who predicted all of this before it happened at Jesuit Georgetown, Paris, France, again, where the climate accords were agreed to, where the Jesuits were established, August 15th, 1534. And notice how coronavirus and climate change come together. And we could still end up getting headlines like maybe there'll be a big outbreak in Texas because, you know, this severe weather. People tend to get sick when they experience weather they're not used to, when their bodies get really cold, weakens their immune system. And again, don't forget Gavin Newsom, Jesuit educated, said 56% of California will get coronavirus in 8 weeks, which is 56 days. Again, the point is these people use the same numbers over and over in their agendas. The Jesuits, you follow the breadcrumbs. They're the only ones that have enough power to control the world. They operate in nearly every country. They consider themselves a military order. You know, you start to look at who government officials are in most nations, just Jesuit educated all over the place. The Jesuits are the New World Order. And the Jesuit order does equal New World Order. And that's not an accident because the Catholic Church gave us the language and the calendar that they've synced all this stuff up with. And again, we're talking about what happened on Valentine's Day, a Catholic holiday. All roads lead to Rome. So, I see what I did here. I forgot my phone in the other room. So give me 1 second. I'm going to grab the phone. And we're going to start taking calls on your guys' weather. But that call-in number is what you see on the screen, 509-560-4982. I will be back in just a moment. All right. Let me get the phone off private mode here. Okay. All right. The line is open if you guys want to call in. We're talking about the weather. What kind of weather are you experiencing? You know, if you're down in the Houston area, I heard from Darrell. We can hear from some other people. Here's Big Al in Arizona. I heard they had some bad weather down there. What's up, Al?
No, man, the weather has not really been that bad. A little chilly today, but we had a ton of cloud cover, and I didn't realize all this stuff was going on that you were just talking about. But I was just right before you got on. I just wanted to say that I just came out here in the backyard, and I looked up, and they were just blasting us.
Yeah.
With the chemtrail. Just getting blasted. I'm like, well, it's supposed to rain today, but I'm out delivering the mail, and just barely sprinkled. It's like it wanted to, but something was stopping it. And now, of course, I look up, and they're just shooting shit all over on top of the clouds and everything. Just ridiculous.
Hey, just as a heads up, there's a guy who started a YouTube channel who's down in your neck of the woods in Tucson. His channel name is Truth Over Fear, and he's out asking people about gematria on the streets and whatnot. He's about to upload his little documentary on talking to people on the streets of Tucson about gematria. But
no kid.
If you're looking for a buddy, he seems like a cool guy. You might want to link up with him. So his channel's Truth Over Fear. His name's Leo. I
gotta try to connect with this guy. Maybe we can do some pounding the pavement down in Tucson, on little tiny Tucson.
Exactly. So Truth Over Fear is his channel name. You might want to check him out. But he told me that yesterday he was out trying to do it, and he said it was just colder and windier than normal, so people weren't. He said yesterday it was harder because people were, chillier than normal down there. So.
Well, they got the blood that's been thinned out, so.
Yeah.
Well, hey, yeah, I just wanted to point that out because I'm like, yeah, it's all connected. So, like you were saying, they move weather patterns, and they can do that. They can, make it snow wherever or move snow to here or rain. I mean, that's clearly what's going on.
It's obvious. Yeah, they moved the weather down from Minnesota to Houston, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, man, great work as always. I'll be listening.
All right, appreciate it. Have a good one, Al. See you.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, check out that Truth Over Fear channel, you guys. He's doing a good job. What's up, caller?
Hey, yo, Zach. I'm sitting here watching right now, and I was, listening to what you was talking about. I ain't really talking about the weather from where I'm from, but you was talking about what was going on in Texas. And I was, thinking about, J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson. I was seeing it was there some type of connection, with them.
Right, you're right, man. J.J. Watt and Watson, energy and power, and they're saying J.J. Watt's on his way out of Houston as this is going on. Yeah, you're absolutely. I mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about. They control sports, news. I mean, they bring it all together. Just the mockery.
Yeah, because I was wondering, because J.J. Watt, he's been a huge guy in Houston. All the weather's been messed up. He's been
Look at that. Look at that. Look at his birthday. Remember, his birthday is March 22nd, 322, just like how this whole thing was 322 days after Klaus Schwab's birthday. And remember when he broke Alex Smith's leg on the 322nd day of the year? This is the mockery, man. This is the mockery.
Hey, but yeah, I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I'm not I'm kind of getting into the numbers now, but just listen to what you were saying. It just brought that to my attention. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. But that's all, man. I appreciate your work, bro.
Yeah, great observation. Appreciate it. You have a good night.
You too.
All right, see you, man. Yeah, that's exactly how they do it, you guys. I mean, the power's out in Houston. J.J. Watt is leaving town. 201 days after Dak Prescott's birthday, the rumor mill starts that they're doing a trade for Deshaun Watson and Dak Prescott. Caller?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
So I live down in Shreveport, right? We never get this bad already. Last night, it was 1 degree,
It was 1 degree in Louisiana?
Yes, sir.
It's just like the Houston weather. Yeah, you're not that far from Houston.
Right.
I mean, and that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, you guys do not get that cold of weather. It sounds impossible, and it would be if they weren't manipulating things.
I know, I was so surprised and stuff,
So, did they knock out your power too, or did your guys' power stay on?
Yeah, I got a bunch of friends who power's been knocked out and stuff. Luckily, I still got all my power still on, but
Yeah. I mean, and this is why we got to wake up, man. I mean, these people are essentially showing that if they wanted to just kill a bunch of people in humanity, they have the power to do it, man. If they made it just 1 degree all throughout the South and knocked out their power, people aren't used to that. So
I know, we were struggling a lot with it. It's still cold down here and stuff, but
yeah. People got to wake up to what's going on and stop saying all this stuff is fantasy and conspiracy nonsense. It is. I mean, it is truly conspiracy, but it's not nonsense. People need to. It's not conspiracy theory. This is a real conspiracy that's being waged against humanity. People need to wake up.
Mhm. But that's all I got.
Well, stay warm out there, man.
Doing what you doing,
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you take care, man. Stay warm. Caller?
Yeah, my name is Charles, and I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And we got about a foot of snow here, and it's supposed to be cold for the next few days. They said last week it was supposed to be -2 on Friday and Saturday, and it never happened. Now they're saying it's supposed to be -2 is supposed to be the temperature, and it's supposed to get colder than that.
So, what's your weather normally like this time of year?
Oh, it's cold. Well, lately it's been real funkified. It changes every now and then. I can go outside and there's times where I'll see and it looks like there's spraying, but I really don't know. But like right now, it's supposed to be about the temperature it is right now, but there's some times where it's like in the 40s and that, and it's like, what? There's no way. Our weather's just really messed up around here.
So it is colder than normal, because I understand Indiana gets snow, but it's colder than normal right now?
Well, really, if you go back 15 years, it was like 20, it got down to like negative, it got down to like 10 degrees was our low. And it's just real iffy. One day it will be 20, one day it'll be 40, 50 degrees. It just varies every other day.
So you're saying in the last 15 years the weather's changed?
Oh, yeah, big time.
And I think that's true everywhere. People even acknowledge that up here, like in the Pacific Northwest. Like, we have a lot nicer springs in the last 15 years than we're used to. Like, back in the day, the rule was for Washington, or for, like, the west side of the state, Seattle and Portland, is like, we didn't expect to see the sun until after the 4th of July. It seemed like it would always rain on the 4th of July, and then our summer would start the next day. But now, in the last 15 years, there's plenty of sunny days between the spring and summer, and it used to not be like that. It used to be really gray and rainy through most of that part of the year. And it's like, I moved to this town on the other side of the mountains, and everyone who's from around here says that, yeah, the weather's changed in the last 15 years, because I guess where I live now, it's very windy here now, but 15 years ago, there was no wind here, but for the last 15 years, it's been windy here. So, yeah, weather's changing all over, and I hear a lot of people say, yeah, the last 15 years, and 5 years from now will be the last 20 years, but yeah, something has definitely changed in the weather. And you know what? The last 15 years is about how long I've been observing them spraying crap all over the sky, that it didn't used to be that way. So,
yeah. Well, and another thing is that if you look at the birthing pains of the Earth, it's coming to an end. I'm not being, but birthing pains happen with nature and everything. If you pay attention to your nature and you go back and see the history of the way the Earth was and everything, it's all going to come to an end.
Well, there are, all things end and begin. Yeah, it's true. And throughout time, obviously, the weather's been different. But, yeah, so anyway. I appreciate the call, man. You're making some good points. Thank you.
You're welcome, man.
All right, you take care. Okay. Let's see. Everyone's call's going to voicemail right now. I swear when we get too... There, that one worked. Okay, good. What's up, caller?
Yo, what's going on, Zach? You're the man, dude.
Well, I appreciate it. What's going on? How's your weather at?
The weather here? Yeah, I'm calling about the weather. But it's been super cold this winter. Colder than normal, I'd say.
And where are you at?
Binghamton.
Is that Alabama?
New York.
New York.
Binghamton,
New York.
New
Okay.
York.
New York.
It's in upstate New York. And we've been super cold here and a lot more snow than average. Like, out of the upstate New York cities, Binghamton has this winter the most snowfall. Like, more than Syracuse, more than, like, Rochester and Buffalo. Like, Binghamton has the most. But, I mean, like, that's not totally out of the... Oh, I wanted to tell you, our main local news station here, guess what their address is?
What is it, 201?
No, it's 560. 560 Columbia Drive.
Okay, I see. Columbia
it's the main... So it's like, who would have, like, thought that? Like... Of course, the Society of Jesus controls that, too.
Yeah.
It's insane. But there was a tornado yesterday in North Carolina. Remember that story that you were talking about, like, 2 weeks ago? And you called it Charlotte, but it's actually called Charlotte, North Carolina. And yesterday had 38 and 58 numerology, and they had a tornado there. So that's kind of, like, weird, too.
Okay, I got to look that one up. I didn't know that. Okay. I'll check it out.
But it happened in the same city that you did that story on of, like, the boy, they bought it at, like, an old antique mall, like the grenade.
Oh, right. Same place.
Same place.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I will check that out.
Right. All right, cool, man. And actually, yeah, that's all for now, dude.
All right, let the next one get in. Take care, man. You have a good day.
Yep.
See you.
Peace.
All right, what's up, Texas?
Hello?
Hello?
What's up, man? I'm living in Dallas, and yesterday night it got down to 3 degrees.
3 degrees, wow.
And, yep, and it's Dallas, Texas. And usually, like, I haven't seen snow here for at least the past, 7 years. I've been living here for, 10 years.
Sure.
So, yeah.
How much snow did you guys get then?
5 inches.
Yeah, that's a good amount for a place that doesn't normally get snow.
Yeah, that's a lot. And fortunately, my power didn't go out, but a lot of my friends' powers went out, though. And they had to stay in their cars for the night because it was freezing cold in their houses.
Oh,
they
sure.
don't know how to handle that.
I can, and then so using up all their gas. Yeah.
Yeah. They got to pay more for that gas, too.
Yeah.
And it's harder to drive here now as well because people don't buy, snow tires and chains.
Oh, sure.
Chains for the tires.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because who's expecting that?
Oh, yeah. A few days ago, a major highway got a road blockage, and it was 15 cars piled up on top of each other.
That's the one that made the national news, right? With the FedEx truck and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that one planned? I think.
What's that?
Was that one also planned or?
Well, what looks suspicious to me is just how that military truck was in the front hauling those Humvees. It's like, what are the odds that was there in the wreck? That seems weird to me. I mean, it could have been, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed weird that the military vehicle was there. So, and it also the other thing that looked weird to me is almost every car in the photo was black or white. I think there was one car that wasn't black or white, and it was red. I was like, what? People only drive black and white cars in Dallas?
Yeah, there's a lot of variety here, man. People driving red cars and blue cars.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, man, it was crazy because a lot of people actually took photos of it, and it actually looked pretty freaking crazy. So yeah, people don't know what's going on, and so how much control of the weather do they have?
I think they have total control of the weather. I think they manage the weather. So I think it's been going on for a long time.
Completely.
Yeah, because I think that's how it has to be. I think if you're going to control the weather, it's not like you can just say, "Oh, I'm going to take the week off and not control the weather this week." I think they literally manage and control the weather, and it just because I mean it's got to be very complicated to move all that air from the northern states and essentially Canada down to the south. I mean, I imagine that they're working at that day by day until they get it down there. So. But, yeah, I think they got total control of the weather, man. I mean, look, they're spraying all over the world every single day. You got to be blind not to see it. So, it doesn't seem
like I see chemtrails all up in the sky. And usually it's around 50, 60 degrees in the winter. Sometimes 40 degrees. But, yeah, I do see, chemtrails, at least 5 chemtrails every day in the sky.
Yeah.
So. And while I'm in my backyard, trying to block the sun. I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I got, man.
All right, man. You take care. Appreciate the call. Stay warm.
Yeah, you too, man.
All right, see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in control of the weather. I can only speak from my observation. I just imagine if you're controlling the weather, it's just something you do every single day. So. What's up, Ben? Your phone is quiet.
Hey, so,
That's better.
So I put my speakerphone on. But we, up in New Jersey, not too bad. I went for a walk today. It was actually, not warm, but, not freezing.
Well, just so people know where I am, I mean, it was really cold when we got more snow, but today was a lot warmer. Today was just way warmer. It's like, wow. So it goes from real cold to today's pretty warm day. So...
Yeah. No, we got a bunch of snow last week, though, and a couple weeks ago. Like, there's still snow stacked on top of the curbs and all that.
Sure.
And
hey, just to make a point,
to
when it goes from real cold to a lot warmer than it should be, then it melts very fast, and then you have flooding issues and other problems. So it's that disaster capitalism thing.
Yeah, no, Texas is probably going to flood again because once the weather goes back to quote unquote normal, and then they're going to have all that water that just melted, and God knows what's in that water too with all that shit they spray. But I just did some research. I came across this article from ABC 13, which I guess is Houston's local station, and it said their biggest snowstorm ever was 20 inches of snow on Valentine's Day in 1895. And did you say this started on Valentine's Day?
Yep.
Yeah, so exactly 126 years later, after the biggest one.
We know the Jesuits like that 126 too. It's just like, that's the kind of thing that's like, okay, I know back in the day the Native Americans did rain dances and stuff. It's like, is this like more magical, spiritual what they're doing? But yeah, that is interesting. So. Yeah,
no, so that was their biggest ever storm. It looks like, I'm just looking, they don't get snow that often. It's like, I was like, I didn't even know about this until Chakotay. I thought the Chakotay stream notification, because yesterday he started talking about it. But no, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Because, like, I'm pretty like you mentioned Minnesota, but I'm sure whatever they're getting, is what we had last week, because it snowed about, maybe not last week, but 2 weeks ago it snowed about 15, 16 inches. And now it's starting to melt a little bit, but it's still hard to walk around. I mean, like, people dug all sorts of like paths to go from like the sidewalk to the street, and those are still there because the snow's still standing. But no, I mean, it's just annoying. And I'd like, a part of me has always wanted to go down south to avoid all this cold weather, and now they're just going to bring it there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. It's just like, man. So I don't think they could. I wonder if they could move it to the equator. I don't think that's possible, but I don't know. So it's like, I think the smart move is, if you can, get down to the equator, man. I think that's the place to be in the fallout world. So
yeah, the only problem is there's all those Jesuit countries down in South America, like Brazil and Argentina, and I guess, I don't know, maybe Peru or Chile. Maybe those would be the places to go.
Yeah. So.
Hang out on Machu Picchu.
Indeed.
But no, I just want to give you that information. 126, because I see that 126 all the time, and I just can't ever remember what it means.
The Knights Templar have that motto. If you go to my website and search 701.
Yeah, 701, right?
Yeah, 701 is the 126 prime, and the Knights Templar motto is 701.
Yeah, and then Diego Lina's was 701 days after Ignatius, right?
Right.
But no, 126 year anniversary, Valentine's Day.
And it was
Valentine's Day, 1895.
You said it was San Antonio that got all that snow?
No, Houston.
Oh,
it fell in Houston. It was okay. So it says the mother of all snows came on Valentine's Day, 1895. 20 inches of snow. Houston was hit with 20 inches of snow on February 14th and 15th, 1895. The snow didn't just fall in Houston. It was a massive storm that dropped snow from Tampico, Mexico, to Pensacola, Florida, and set records in New Orleans and Alabama. So, I mean, and we were talking about the Dust Bowl on how they likely contrive that to, like, move people into cities only to, they just do whatever the hell they want, really, because they push people into cities, they push them out.
So what does that make you think, though, Ben? Because I don't feel like flight and all that didn't exist back then, so it couldn't have been chemtrails, and I don't think they had nearly as sophisticated technology, so it leaves you with either it's a coincidence or these people are like using like spiritual demonic energy to achieve these things.
Or or maybe it could be demonic energy, or maybe they just chose Valentine's Day because the snow fell in 1895. Maybe they just chose it this year because of this historical date. But at the same time, for it to happen in 2021 of all years, I mean, when the year of the Great Reset, we've been talking about power outages all year with the dark winter. I mean, it seems like a little much. You know what I mean? But then again, I mean, 126 isn't the most important number. It is important, but it's not the most important. So maybe that's just so maybe it could have been any anniversary that they did that. But no, I mean, the fact that it happened on Valentine's Day, which you said it would, and it happened on Valentine's Day, which you said it probably could.
Well, I'm batting 500 so far this year because at first I picked January 15th and nothing happened that day, so I was like, okay, what's the next 151 date? And then I saw it was Valentine's, so.
Yeah, because, I mean, but yeah, no, I mean, and then like after that, they got the 20 inches in 1895, and I think the second most they ever got was like 5. I think that's what this article says. The latest, okay, before 27. No, it says here's what it says. It snowed 7 times in the 80s, with the most snow coming December of 89 with 1.7 inches. Houston's new record for earliest snowfall is November 13, 2018.
Okay, here, Ben, don't lose what you're saying, but what this reminds me of is, okay, I think it was the city of Dallas had the massive tornadoes, and then in history, like 50 years later or so, they had another big tornado on the same day. And then it was probably in 2013 or around then, there was a big explosion in Texas, and then it turned out that was on the anniversary of another big explosion in Texas. So it's like there's these...
Well, yeah, then the NYC blackout happened July 13th, 1977, and then they did it again on July 13th, 2019, 42 years later, NYC 42.
So I mean, it's like history just repeats itself. It's like time's a circle. So.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how they would have manipulated the weather back in 1895, but I mean, they always say that I've always heard that whatever technology they give it to us. I mean, it was probably like the CIA or whatever probably had it like 35, 40 years prior. Like I've seen videos. I don't watch these types of videos anymore, but I saw a video once that said like cell phones were out like 30 years before they were introduced to the public, and the CIA used them. But I mean, nothing would surprise me at this point. But how they would have made it snow in Houston. I mean, they could have been. I don't know. Maybe they could have been doing stuff with like the ground or something. I mean, maybe they did something on the ground, like move the air. I don't know how. I'm not really good with science, but maybe they did something from the ground up that made it happen. If they were doing it, I wouldn't know. Maybe like there's something with air pressure or something just moving around.
Well, it definitely has something to do with that. It definitely has something to do with that.
They use some. Yeah, you use some type of machine to like move air pressure around and do some wacky stuff. That could be it.
I call it chemistry in the skies. Yeah, something going on. Well, I appreciate you bringing up the 126-year anniversary. That's very interesting. So I'm going to go back and research that some more.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
All right, Ben. Take care, man.
All right, good night.
See you. Caller?
Hey, yeah, just a little more clarity on like what they could possibly be doing technologically or spiritually.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Other stuff. So this idea of you can move large masses of air and cloud with high frequency radiation. It's not really that far fetched. Adding nanoparticles into clouds can also speed up the accumulation process of that energy in the sky. And like you can basically open up parts of the atmosphere and bring in that super cold air from space. And that happens naturally as well at the North and South Pole, I'm pretty sure. And it's really not that hard to see how it's possible. Now, are they able to do it super precisely? I'm sure they've worked their ways to where they can pretty much make things happen on a particular day.
Yeah,
And
no, it's
then
obvious they
for-
can because they do it they do it all the time. So
Yeah, and like you don't really, how you said they're constantly doing it all the time. Well, yeah, they probably most likely definitely have to do it all the time. But even if they somehow stopped for a month or a year, they could easily just resume what they've done, built up the energy, because they're basically shuffling around the natural energy,
Right. And again, energy 74 like Valentine's Day is 74, so perfect day to show their
Just
power
like
of the control over the energy.
Yeah, weapons, nuclear.
Weapon is 74, so is nuclear. Right, correct. The World Trade Center is turned into dust on the 74th Meridian West. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, for the spiritual way to do this, well, there's really, strange stuff going on with, us being alive and the nature of us, not knowing our origin, as a species, as a not even as a species, but just we don't even know where energy and stuff comes from. And these secrets are revealed through the study of geometry. So if you want to explore how you can, alter major events through through intention and your, basically your brain and your consciousness, you have to learn how you can use basically your spirit as a lever, the same way you can use a giant array of satellites. So, it works both ways. You can access the large-scale stuff through other large-scale arrays, but you can also do it the opposite way, through the spirit. And this is all explained with geometry. Dan Winter, Nassim Haramein, Randy Powell. Those are three names that would lead anybody to some very powerful information if you're looking for it.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Well,
You take care.
bye.
Caller,
Hey, Zach. I got in.
you made it. What's up?
Hey, this is Steve. Hey, man. I'm Steven from outside of Dallas. I actually live in Mansfield, Texas. It's about, get this, 33 miles from downtown Dallas.
Go figure.
So anyway, man, it is freezing in Dallas-Fort Worth, man. This morning we were at one below at the airport. Two below. We were two below this morning, and that tied a record back in 1949. And so the other night, my power went off for about 4 hours, but I'm very thankful to have my power back on. But a lot of people in Dallas-Fort Worth do not have power. Some friends of mine went to stay in a hotel room, and that hotel room actually had a backup generator. So parts of my town are blacked out, others, but I don't know exactly how many people, but, there's over 7 million people that live in Dallas-Fort Worth now. And, I grew up here, so I'm not used to this kind of weather. We got snow everywhere, and then tonight, about midnight-ish, I believe, we are going to get snow and ice mixed until, Wednesday morning. It's going to be all night coming through this big storm, and then our temperatures have not gone up past 32 since, a few days ago. And so this is unprecedented. We're going to be below freezing, below 32. We're going to be under 32 we've been for the past 2 weeks or so, or 2 weeks. This is one of the longest stretches Dallas-Fort Worth has had frozen. So now, are you familiar with that stupid show, Games with Thrones?
Did you say Game of Thrones?
Yeah, Games of Thrones. That stupid show, medieval show.
Game of Thrones, the HBO show that got all the recognition.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the main. I never watched it, but I heard that quote from it. Winter is coming.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Equals 38. 38 equals murder. So they've been, Joe Biden's been talking about. They said the great winter. Could this be it? winter is coming, the dark winter, very, very, some, particular programming right there. Definitely. And since it's, winter is coming equals 38, murder. I'm like, yeah, because people are going to, in fact, I saw, Houston they found 2 dead people. I guess they were homeless. They froze to death down there in Houston. But here, I mean, they've opened up shelters everywhere to try to help people. The grocery stores are closed, but who could get to them? The streets are really bad, and I'm glad I got some food and everything. So I'm fine. I'm just hunkered up here, and I'm very blessed to have my have my electricity on. And but yeah, I actually live in the county called Tarrant. And so the next time you see a story from Fort Worth, Texas, and it says the county, it's not Tarrant, it's Tarrant.
Huh.
I don't know if anybody ever correct you on that one.
By the way, just what you said, though, about homeless, like they give us these headlines that 10 people are dead. I have a feeling more than 10 people are dead, especially homeless people. And then it's not just people, too.
Totally.
I mean, they're destroying the wildlife. I'm sure so many insects and animals die, and then that messes up, the natural system. And that's why we see, as time goes on, there's just less and less insects, less and less birds, less and less animals. I mean...
Oh, totally.
Yeah, it's just like
yeah.
the other year up here, it got super cold, and then it got super warm in the spring, and then it got super cold again, and then like I was living in Bothell, Washington at the time, which has a lot of birds and trees because there's more big trees there than most places, but there were so many dead birds on the ground because of how that weather went, and I was like, see, what they're doing with the weather, it's just, and I know it's not natural, so...
Oh, totally. I mean, it's, and they could, I 100% are on your page with, the technology of controlling the weather. And so it's like, I remember back 20 years ago or so, I remember when I was walking my dog, it was 1997, and it was a beautiful blue sky day, and I look up, and there's an airplane spraying a long trail of white smoke. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then just within a few years, the word chemtrail became a part of the English vocabulary. And so it's obvious that the chemtrailing has to do something with how they control the weather. It's obvious. Because, I mean, when they're like that other caller that called from Tucson said they were spraying the fuck out of the sky today. And then, then it got real cloudy over there and the windy. I mean, it's obviously a coordination. And then with that HARP thing, and I saw on the internet a picture, there's like little there's a HARP stations in almost all continents. Have you seen that map?
Yeah, they're all over the place. And again, for people who aren't aware of HARP, again, I just want you guys to see this. I want you to see this about HARP real quick. Let me pull this up on the screen. Everybody can look this up. Jesse Ventura kind of spilled the beans on HARP on his conspiracy show he used to have. And But HARP, if you look it up, its patent date was August 11th, 1987, and it stands for, well, here, I'll show you. So here's everything that's interesting about its patent date. August 11th is the 223rd day of the year, and natural disaster equals 223, and HARP stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, which equals 223. And again, go back and look up the Jesse Ventura episode on this, people. It's out there. He goes all over HARP and its capability and how it can modify weather and do all these things, even cause earthquakes. But that date had 44 numerology as well, and HARP's 44 like military, like earthquake. And on the 44th day of the year, we just had this massive earthquake in Japan, and that's a pattern I've been documenting for years, earthquakes in 44. But yeah, so, I mean, there's just all this stuff out there that they have that has the ability to influence the weather, so...
Oh, totally, because it never gets this cold in Texas for this long a period of time. Sure, every winter we get below 20, like around 29, 28 degrees, and that's normal. And then the next day or two, we'll be back up to 70. So Texas and the South, really, our winters are really up and down. But when we have 10 plus days of being below 32, and then this storm comes in Sunday, and then now that we've got another one coming in Dallas-Fort Worth, and then I'm looking at when I'm watching the weather, I see the map of the United States, the satellite maps, and they're showing where the weather systems coming in. The entire United States, except for Southern California and Florida, pretty much the entire country is frozen. I don't think this has ever happened before. Do you?
That's exactly. I mean, all over the whole country, it's just abnormally cold weather through the whole country. I mean, come on. It's just like I live up here. I live up here in the Pacific Northwest, and on the western side of the state, because the mountains cut through Oregon and Washington, the west coast, to the west of the mountains, the weather's a lot more temperate. To the east of the mountains, it's a lot more desert, so it gets snow in the winter, and it gets hotter summers. But for weeks now, the entire region is covered in snow, and that's never happened in my lifetime, that just all of Oregon and Washington are in snow. I mean, that just doesn't happen here. It's normally... So...
Yeah, I saw that. So, the Seattle got a record of snow.
And there was an article like back in September that the Pacific Northwest is going to get 10 times as much snow as normal. They've said that like back in September. And I don't know if that's true that we got 10 times as much as normal, but again, just the whole region to be in snow, this doesn't happen. So.
Well, it's like I'm still waiting when I watch the news now that, the numbers, it's like even when I turn on the TV, it's like, within 45 minutes, I'll hear the number 33 all the fucking time. My friends think I'm crazy because I'm trying to tell them about this 33 thing. Well, it's like now then, one or two of my friends, they're like, and I told them about Geometry Effects News, where to go to it, and so it's like one of my friends, he's a little older than me, and he's like, Steven, you know what? This is really cool stuff. I've convinced somebody, that this is actually very, and he's very religious. He's a Jesus bubber, but he's a really cool guy. He's not like he's not an asshole Christian. He's a nice Christian.
That's good.
But I'm like you, man. I don't subscribe to anything from the Bible is true. I think it's just a book of fairy tales, but I do agree that there has to be some kind of creator, not to get off the subject, but but you think if God was real, that what man has done, especially now, controlling the weather, that the United States government has killed Mother Nature. What happened to, so it's like, you think God would come down and go, that's enough. You can't control the weather. And of course that doesn't happen. But, it's just absolutely horrendous. Before I let you go and get another caller, can I want to ask you, Gavin Newsom, is he? You said he's he graduated from Jesuit College, right?
Yeah.
But isn't that a Jewish name?
Well, again, most of the Jesuits are Jewish. Just like Fauci's Jewish, Bill Gates is Jewish, and they're all in this Jesuit fraternity. So
you're saying to me if they do ever go to church, it wouldn't be a synagogue; it'd be a church because they're Catholic.
Well, again,
they switched.
Yeah, they're converts. So.
Or maybe their parents were converts. It could convince them. Because Fauci and Gavin Newsom, they got that nose, and I was like, he just said they're Catholic. I'm like, so now that I understand, because you also said that back in the day, the Jews invented Catholicism, right? And the Jesuit.
Half the founders of the Jesuits were Jews who converted to Catholicism. And just for the record, Gavin Newsom went to Santa Clara University, which is a Jesuit school. So.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, because I've been calling Anthony Fauci Dr. Evil. If only he had bald head, then just like right out of the Austin Powers movie.
Sure.
It's almost like, well, it's not almost like we're living in a fucking cartoon. We're living in a fantasy world.
Indeed.
And it breaks my heart seeing on the news all the elderly people lining up to get the shot. It just breaks my heart because I'm like, because Hitler did that first. Hitler got rid of all of the old people that couldn't take care of themselves because that's a burden on the government for money. So and so he got rid of like the old elderly, and it looks like to me that's what they're doing. With the nursing homes.
It is, man. It's like they've been saying. Bill Gates said 10 years ago as a TED Talk, we got to reduce the population. We can do it if we do a good job with vaccines. So.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, thanks for calling me, talking to me, and I'll let someone else call in, man. I listen to you. I watch your shows every day. I look forward to it.
Appreciate that, man. You have a good night.
All right. Hey, take care, Zach.
Yeah, you too, man. Take care. All right, you're going to be the last caller because I got to make sweet lady dinner. What's going on, caller?
Hey, Zach, it's me calling back again. I was talking to you earlier about J.J. Watt, right?
Oh,
so
okay.
I did some more research, and so there's so many connections between J.J. Watt, right? You know how he's leaving Houston?
Right.
And James Harden just left Houston, right?
Right.
So these guys are pretty much, if you check these guys' stats, they're both like the same in height. Like their stats is all they're the same. But so I mean, I just leave that for you to check it out. But the main thing I wanted to bring is just like, as you see Houston, like everything is going bad for Houston. If you look, 2017 was one of his best years, right? When he's like Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year. And 2017 is also the same year James Harden is league MVP. And 2017 is the same year Houston hosted the Super Bowl, right? So in the Super Bowl, that's the Super Bowl where the Falcons play the Patriots.
The 25-point comeback on 2/5 in the 97th season. 97, the 25th prime, the year they moved the touchback to 25 yards, and people still can't see it's all number games? Come on, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And look, if you notice, right, New England is 14-2, and Atlanta as in their record, and the Falcons are 11-5 as in their regular season record. And then you look back at the Super Bowl that just passed, Brady and the Bucs.
Oh yeah, 14-2 and 11-5 again. Yeah, same records.
14-2.
Yeah.
So it's just like you see how it went. Like I feel like that's like a change from the guard where Houston had like their time, and now.
And the same ref worked both games. Carl Sheffers, he works Super Bowl 51 and Super Bowl 55, and he wears the number 51. And Super Bowl 55 was the 51st of the modern era. So yeah, a lot of parallels. That's how they do it, though. They make history repeat itself.
Yeah, I just thought that was just like weird because like I said, I called you earlier about like Houston, and I just feel like Houston is just like just going down. Whatever's going on in Houston, I feel like something serious is like really going down. Like I mean, like you was talking about how like in Florida, you see how Tampa Bay now since Brady's coming there. But I feel like it's not since just Brady's been. I feel like LeBron just won the. I know I'm kind of getting off about the weather, but you know what I'm saying? I just feel like it's all just correlating. Like, LeBron won the chip there, too, first to kind of start off this whole, like, Corona, like, sports league. You know what I'm saying? Like, the championships. I just feel like that was, like...
Well, Kobe died and was buried in Corona Del Mar, and the next thing you knew, there's the pandemic for coronavirus. Yeah, so, yeah.
Yes. I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah, Kobe had... Man, I just think I just thought that was crazy how, as you see, like what's going on in Houston. I just thought like it was just crazy how they correlate, like really how this is wild. Like I don't know, maybe you should I'll check it out, but I feel like there's more interest like James Harden, like that James Harden, J.J. Watt thing is too parallel. Like they both pretty much played in Houston for 9 years, and now they both won out. Like J.J. Watt's been released and James Harden out of there. I just feel like there's something with that because even like I said, they both played 9 years in Houston, and Kansas City like this year only scored 9 points. And I don't know, man. I just feel like the numbers is just like a little weird there, but
all right.
Man, I don't know. I just feel like that was. But all right, though, man.
All right, I'll look more to it. Appreciate it, man. You have a good night.
You too.
All right, see you. All right, I gotta take one more call. We gotta close out with the weather call. What's up, Denver?
Hey, Zach. It's Dan calling. You sent me a PDF to help me read your book. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I wanted to say a quick update here on my research on these chemtrail programs that are going up because one of them finally is now public. The name of it's SCOPEX. That's COPEX. And it stands for Stratospheric Controlled Perturbation Experiment. And this is the Bill Gates new special, teamed up with Harvard scientist David Keith, and they are at least getting flack by the Swedes, are the first to raise up against this and say, no, what are you doing? You can't even try to do this in our skies. But looking deeper back, this is the same program with just a new name in a different mix. I mean, Scopex alone is aluminum, arsenic, cadmium, nickel, lead, copper, mercury, magnesium, iron, zinc, anything but, happy. This whole Block the Sun project that the globalists come up with, they think that they just got the next best thing coming. But unfortunately, to cover Earth in an electric blanket and expect it to cool, It's just absolutely madness. And there's 3 programs: stratospheric aerosol injection, SAI. That's the base program that they have run now in all of Mobile 1A jet fuel. That's the base program they're using. They also have the more condensed programs that are run by the military in conjunction with HARP. And they're spraying mostly off the coast of Baja, California, and off the coast of Alaska, intercepting all of these huge low-pressure systems that HARP is helping create off the coast. And I know you were telling people, how do you move the weather? Weather is kind of layered and interesting, but in high pressure and low pressure, and the jet streams moving around Earth all the time, create slack. HARP is now not just in Alaska, but they have mobile versions on ships off the Gulf and off the coast of Baja and North Carolina. And unfortunately, you can see this pattern that they've been using on Ghost 17 satellites, that they create high pressure zones, and in the dead space, a natural low pressure forms. And the jet stream moves over these low pressure systems. And 2 days before, they spray very heavily before all these low pressure systems to have it naturally mix in to Earth better, so they don't have to cover as much ground. And because they've been using these 3 programs in conjunction, and this first one from Bill Gates, ScopeX, has come out, this is really important, because what's going to follow is disclosure of all the other programs, because they're not going to be able to keep telling people that, all the aluminum in the snow is, from your V8s and the diesel trucks. And because in honesty, you can't find aluminum in nature unless it's bonded to something. So all these so-called scientists that are, blaming mankind for this warming problem, they need to look at the data that's not furthering an agenda to line the pockets of the EPA and all the alphabet gangs. I'm sorry I had to rant, but I saw a lot of people talking about chemtrails that called in, and these programs are not public. And I mean, you can search all you want and find stuff. I know Dane Wigington is a really big geoengineer activist, but I mean, the guy puts out these podcasts and always uses reverberation, and it just sounds like he's a lone man in an empty room, and it's really hard to listen to somebody with a message that sounds like that. But
well, I'm glad you tipped me off to this. I hadn't heard of the ScopeX before. What stood out to me right away is I just noticed it equaled 82 in the most simple cipher, like how all this is synced up with Klaus Schwab's 82nd birthday. And
oh boy.
And here, you know what? I wonder if this was the first article, if it was first printed December 15th. That's the day I see here. Well, it looks like November 23rd. I'm going to go back and see when they first acknowledged the ScopeX. When did you first hear about it?
The first time I heard about it was in 2019.
Actually, I see it here, July 3rd, 2019. That's now the oldest article I see.
Yeah.
Is about when you heard about it? July 3rd? Around then?
What's really interesting is, I think that if people want to, how do we get this to stop? I mean, you have to stop the base program, and that's in all the jet fuel. So people want to grab a mason jar, run to the airports, and ask for a fuel sample. Why you want a fuel sample? I want to know what's in fuel for a project. Take it to your local university for free. Tell them your claim, what you think is in the fuel. Just use the ScopeX mixture. They test it. Holy crap. You need to have a petition signed to then take that lab result to your local office. And I guess that's the only way I can really see bringing this forward, is having the fuel tested. And the only way to do that is to have a bunch of people all at once organize, because they move the fuel mixture around by how deep the jet stream is going. And it's unfortunate. I watch weather a lot, and to see at night when the moon's out, all the satellite photography you time lapse it, they'd be calling this stuff ship tracks. You know, oh, look at the ship tracks. They're moving across on the Weather Channel. They're like, oh, moving across the more ship tracks, everybody. Isn't this great? And you look at the timestamp and you're like, oh, wow, sure. You know, from A to B in, 2 hours and 10 minutes, this ship went, 1,400 miles. Yeah, okay. It's unfortunate they're trying to sell this to the public when it's in plain sight. Now, if you go to the FAA's website, you can report suspicious activity. And below suspicious aircraft, now they have report condensation trail, which is really awkward because to me, it even says, we need you to report what you see so we can make sure that only the qualified brake programs are in use. If there's any other ones out there that are just trying to meddle the waters, run by George Soros or any other type of flights that reduce and run their own experiments without any oversight, without any authorization, it's wild how they want you to report in if you see a contrail or chemtrail when it's been the narrative, oh, it's just a conspiracy all these years. And then you look it up, and the people that yell at you the most are the very ones who are running the chemtrail program.
And that's how it is with everything. That's how it is with everything. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's the first time I called in, follow the fuel, follow the science. I know that these programs are Jesuit funded because they're going to try to sell to the pilot scientists that, if we block the sun, we're going to save Earth. Yay! We're all going to be able to sing Kumbaya and just have 75 and sunny. It's just a bunch of BS. It's just another way for them to block the UVs from exiting back out and cause a massive runaway heating problem. You go back, the first file patent for the geoengineering aerosol maintaining a modern climate. German, Russian, Japan, American scientists names are all in this patent, 1971. That's when the first program started. So unless, as the science caught up and more programs joined the crew, they found that the risk of doing it outweighed the risk of not doing it. But now they think that by not doing it, it's really going to be bad because they've been spraying wrong the first, 22 years, and now they got to spray this for the next 22 years to do that. Or I think that they've lost control, and there's not going to be one single magic mix that can come in and say, this is what we have to spray, or, if we're going to really outdo all this. But right now, it just looks like they're chasing their tails, coming up with this all-new block the sun in different ways, at different levels. And, pilots are confused seeing these planes. I got a really good video I made. I put it on Facebook about this program. I jumped it in your comments here, Zach.
Why don't you send me the link to my email, numbergamesbook@gmail.com, and I'll share it.
Okay. Yeah, and it's just, what I did is I took into account 4 different documentaries that were out there, 3 of which the creators are dead under circumstances of mystery. And so I think that anyone who does these projects in an artistic form to raise awareness, where there's not a lot of speaking, but there's just interviews and time lapses and videos versus a bunch of photos of X's in the skies. Because if you see a contrail go across the sky in a normal day, it should be gone in about 20 seconds. Any pilot will tell you that. And unfortunately, when they stay around and spread out, you know that either the base program in the fuel, or that's an actual, you pull up Flight Radar, Plane Finder, all these plane spotting apps, and you can look exactly who's all in the sky. And if you see 3 or 4 that are not on the radar, I mean, there they are.
Yeah.
Plain sight.
Hey, this article about Scope X says this is the one from July 3rd, 2019. The idea of injecting aerosols into the stratosphere to help cool the Earth has been known in the United States since 1965. 2021 is 56 years later. Climate Change 56, Society of Jesus 56, Agenda 21, where everything was aimed with this year. So what are the odds?
Oh my gosh. It's the first time calling in, and I kind of wanted to have my ducks ready to go because this is a big deal. I first got involved with this because I wanted to prove my friend wrong, and boy, was I happy to find out I was wrong. Doing the research and noticing the toxicity of all this stuff, that they're not caring about anybody or the plants or the animals. We all have to breathe the same air, and unfortunately, they're going to fearmonger their way. I think that this Scopex is really and just another way that they want to test the public and see the uproar and kind of beta test how they're going to react, because eventually it's going to be a common thing. Oh, yay, they're out today. Aren't you happy, honey? Oh, yes, we're being saved from the sun. Earth is going to last past 2030. They solved it. Yay. Not at all the reality. But these people out here, they're just like, oh, yeah, okay. Because, like you say all the time, people are stupid. They're so knee-jerk driven about headlines and don't want to research for themselves or try out the Gematrinator for itself. It is absolutely wild. And I'm really happy you covered this today, because since Bill Gates has his name tied to this program, the can of worms is open. I think it's only going to be more disclosed from here, and unfortunately, the Alzheimer's rate's going up 3,000% in the past 10 years. Autism, dementia, Parkinson's, a lot of diseases that are in accordance with heavy metal poisoning. Serious stuff.
Indeed.
And if you have suspicions of heavy metal poisoning, you can have your brain matter tested, and they'll tell you exactly how contaminated you are.
And that's why I'll remind everybody, something you can do to protect yourself that's affordable is to buy organic cilantro or organic parsley, because it's not expensive. A bushel should last you at least a week, up to 2 weeks. And those are some of the best foods for cleaning out metals and toxins from your body. Just start putting parsley and cilantro in your food. And probably one of the best natural things you can do, because there's metal poisoning everywhere. It's in the water. It's in the food. I mean, think about how many of you guys eat food out of a can. I mean, that metal leaches into the food. It's in the air. So cilantro and parsley.
Exactly.
Yeah, eat it up.
I mean, now we have the mix. The mix is right there now, and you can research how bodies react to certain stuff and research your way to create your own cocktail, if you will, and how to counteract these chemtrail programs until we can get them banned, because they're just expecting people to start dropping like flies, and heavy metal poisoning lowers your immune system. So imagine that, huh?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I sent you the email link here, Zach.
Well, I appreciate it. Call us back, man. Great information. I didn't know about this Scopex. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to tuck in this note about 1965 and 2021 being 56 years later. Now I really see what they're doing. So.
Good stuff. I'll include some more documents, too, if you want to get a gander. But thanks for all you do. Keep it up. I appreciate you. And, man, hashtag modern day hero right here, everybody. Give this guy a thumbs up. Yes.
Well, you too. Right back at you, friend. Great phone call. I look forward to the next one. And you don't sound too old yourself. You sound pretty young. So appreciate that also.
I am 35.
Oh, you are? Well, you just got a youthful voice. Well, hey, that's not that old either, so we're both pretty young. Well, keep it up, man.
Right on.
All right, yeah, take care.
Peace.
All right, see you. Okay. Sorry, guys, I got to turn off the phone because sweet lady, she's going to say, what happened? We're supposed to eat at 6. But hey, we got to talk about important things here, you guys. Please share this video, and if you guys can do the honor of hitting the like button. Again, if you think somebody, if you would like for a stranger to see this video, by hitting the like, that's the way the YouTube algorithm works. If a video has more likes, it's more likely to show up in a stranger's feed. It's still rather unlikely because of all the censorship, but it still increases the odds. There's always some new person who's like, I don't know how I found your video. It's probably because enough people hit the like button that day. But again, and if you guys could share it on your own social media, really, that's what people need to do. You guys need to help spread information. Imagine if all 60-some thousand subscribers on this channel shared it. Don't you think it would reach a few more people? And probably a lot of them would watch and be like, oh my God, it's the dumbest thing I ever heard. But there might be, 50 people who watch it and be like, wow, I need to know more about this. And then day by day, we might get 50 more people, 50 more people, 50 more people until we have enough people to actually do something. So, Again, that's been the mindset at the 7.5 years of pumping this stuff out. But it's getting late in the game, you guys. We got to do something. All right, Truth Seekers, have a good rest of your day. Stay warm. Cilantro, parsley, it's inexpensive. Like, literally, if you spend $1 a week on cilantro and parsley just to put in your food, that's $50 over the course of the year. And that's a lot cheaper than, just going to the doctor's office and getting some crappy prescription. And I'm sure it works better than that anyway. Again, read about parsley and cilantro. They're two of the best foods for filtering out toxins and metals from your body. So that's my advice. I eat a lot of it. I stay healthy. And, good multivitamin too, you guys. And don't buy some cheap one, because a lot of these cheap multivitamins, they're like not even good for you. So try to, make food your medicine, Truth Seeker. I'm going to go eat some quinoa, black beans, and an avocado. That's how we're doing it over here tonight. With some cilantro, of course, and some salsa. Keep it flavorful. But that's what's next. Oh, and by the way, there's a gentleman who wants me to do an interview tonight at 9 p.m. I'll live stream it if he says that's okay. So, guy asked me if I'd do the late night interview. Keep you posted on that one. All right, Truth Seeker, until next